Arsenal's new forward signing is set to be revealed, and various sources are saying Arsenal will make two more signings this window. We are closing in on 17,000 subscribers. If you haven't already and you enjoy the content, go down, leave a like. We're under 300 subscribers now from 17,000. The optimistic aim, which is a little bit mad, is 20,000 subscribers this month. It's a little bit crazy, probably unlikely, probably won't happen, but that's what we're aiming for. If you're enjoying the content, as always, the like button on this channel is incredibly strong. If you enjoy the content, as always, leave a like. It's incredibly hot in the UK today, and there's hot transfer rumors coming out, and that is a terrible pun. And I want to talk about, we've already put a video out about Tottenham today, because a lot of people say, oh, but you don't talk about Tottenham, even though I have Henry Wright TV, which is just purely Spurs. But we did drop a video on Spurs earlier, so go and check that out. Now, I want to talk about Pedro Neto. Now, this is an interesting one, because Wolves are anticipating now that he will leave. That is what the story in the Wolves camp is, that they are anticipating a sell. Now, Tottenham are heavily linked with Pedro Neto, as well as Arsenal. Now, when I look at the right-hand side, we've spoken about this so many times, on this channel, about Gyökeres, about Pedro Neto. Arsenal, it's no secret Arsenal want to bring in a forward. Now, whether that's Victor Gyökeres, whether that is, bringing in a wide player, they've got very, very, very strong options at the moment. But I was thinking about this yesterday when I was talking to a friend. He was a Man United fan. We were talking about, you win Premier Leagues a lot of the time on moments. You think back to Declan Rice's last-minute winner to win 4-3 against Luton, or Reece Nelson's last-minute winner 3-2 against Bournemouth, or Sergio Aguero's last-minute winner against QPR all those years ago, or when City were 2-0 down to Villa and they nicked it at the death, or Jude Bellingham's over a kick. A lot of these games are not necessarily won on tactics some of the time, but they are won on individual moments of pure quality. Now, Bukayo Saka has given these Arsenal fans so many individual bits of quality, just pure class, finishes outside the box. And when he's not available, it looks like Reece Nelson is going to join Leicester. And it also looks like Eddie Nketiah is going to join Marseille. Arsenal are demanding a fee of around 30 million euros. Marseille are incredibly interested, and there is belief between the two camps that Eddie Nketiah will get the move to Marseille. And Fabrizio Romano has said that there has been a 5-year deal agreed between Eddie Nketiah and the Marseille. Personal terms are not a problem, which then puts Arsenal in a very strong position going into the remainder of the window, because that would be two homegrown players. Two homegrown players off the books, two academy graduates, 100% profit. So now, where does that leave Arsenal? Does a player like Pedro Neto come in and improves our Arsenal squad depth? For me, absolutely. And I think Arsenal are in a much more risk-free situation to a Tottenham when it comes to signing Pedro Neto. And I'll break down why that is. Now, obviously, Pedro Neto has a few injury concerns, and he only played 20 games last season. But that is all I think he would need to play in an Arsenal shirt. Now, if he was to join Tottenham, he's going to need to play more like 45 games, because we don't have the quality of a right winger. We've got Dejan Kulusevski, Brennan Johnson, and potentially a Pedro Neto to go out there. whereas Arsenal have an out-and-out class winger in Bukayo Saka. Now, Pedro Neto last season, I think he'd give Arsenal something different off the bench because Reece Nelson and Gabriel Jesus, I think Neto is a better right winger than both of them. Last season, when you look at his individual stats, in terms of his output and the amount of appearances he made in the Premier League, the output was very, very, very good. But it's a huge, huge concern, those Premier League injuries. Look at the amount of games he has played in the last 3 seasons. It's a huge concern. 20 Premier League games last season. Very, very, very good output. 9 assists, 2 goals. 11 goal contributions in 20 games is a very good return for a player at Wolves. The year before, 18 games, did not get a goal and only got 1 assist, but only played 970 minutes. The year before that, only played 13 appearances. And the year before that, only played 31 appearances, 5 goals, and 6 assists. But I think when you look at the amount of games he's realistically going to start, I've said this a number of times, that Arsenal need to realistically get used to seeing Bukayo Saka on the bench. And I was sent this by someone, and I want to read it out. On the injury front, to give some balance to it, a fracture to the kneecap in which he missed 297 days doesn't make him injury prone. It firstly, really rare and extremely unlucky injury. In the same manner, rolling his ankle doesn't either, which is a second major injury. This season has suffered injury to both hamstrings now. For an explosive player like him, this could be deemed slightly more concern. With that said, it would be slightly more concerning if the same hamstring was to break down repeatedly. For Neto, the right hamstring was injured after a run of playing 6 games in February, and it was 1 minute into the second half of the match where we're always most concerned about hamstrings in the first few minutes of a game, the first few minutes of the second half, and the last period of the game. Once fatigued, Gary O'Neill actually took a risk on him in that game. And it was said Neto was fatigued and was feeling his hamstring after their Newcastle game in the match prior. His minutes should have been managed properly, should have sat the Fulham game out where he became injured. This leaves us with the left hamstring injury that he suffered in October. He missed a couple of months, on which he's been fairly regular occurrence for lots of players since the 2022 World Cup. Interestingly, met with West Ham and Chelsea sports directors last week, where we discussed hamstrings a lot since there's been a huge uptick in injuries to them in the last 2 seasons across the league. So I would say Neto has had a very unfortunate injury history, but given the context, I don't all think this would put a top side from taking a chance on him, as they'll be confident in dealing with the hamstring management, given its focus of a lot of medical departments this summer. Now, I was sent that not from an ITK, but someone who's involved in the game. Now, Arsenal, of course, I believe could take the risk, because if he could play 20 games in the Premier League and maybe if Arsenal could rotate and rest Bukayo Saka in the games which Arsenal are expected to win, your Lutons, your Burnleys, your Leicesters, your Southamptons, your Sheffield United, those caliber of teams, you don't need to play Bukayo Saka week in, week out. However, if you've got a run of games where you're playing your Villas, your Cities, your Chelseas, then of course, Bukayo Saka is going to start every single game. Now, what's going to be very important going into next season is the Champions League is 8 group games. It's more of a league format. So there's more Champions League games. You got the Premier League. You're coming off the back of a long Euros where Bukayo Saka played up until the final game. Probably going to have a maximum of 3 weeks off, and then he's back for Arsenal. Now, of course, Wednesday night, 7th of August, Arsenal do play Leverkusen. And on the 11th of August, Arsenal play Lyon. And then before you know it, the 17th of August, Arsenal versus Wolves. Second game, Villa away, Brighton at home, North London derby, Manchester City. Then before you know it, the Champions League, the third round of the League Cup, Then in January, the FA Cup, Arsenal need one more forward. Now, Victor Gyökeres is meant to be Arsenal's main priority transfer target. That's who they want to bring in. It's going to be very interesting to see if that signing will happen. There's an agreement in place between, according to various reports, between Sporting Lisbon and, Sporting Lisbon and the likes of Sporting Lisbon and Victor Gyökeres with regards to if the money's on the table, they are prepared to let him go. Now, Arsenal are being heavily linked with a move now to various forwards. Victor Osimhen, I think, is unrealistic. More chance of him joining Chelsea or PSG. Osimhen, that is. Victor Gyökeres, I think he joins Arsenal, Liverpool, or stays. But with the firepower they've got, the amount of goals Arsenal scored last year, Merino is very, very close to signing. Could get a here we go tomorrow or the day afterwards. Now, they scored 91 goals in the league last season. They had more players in their team score 5 or more goals than a Manchester City. The reason why Manchester City won the league is when it comes to crunch time, they turned it on and they've got a 30-goal a season player in their team. Let me know your thoughts down below. Do Arsenal go out there and sign a Pedro Neto, or is it more realistic to go and get a Victor Gyökeres? But according to various reports, the new signing of the midfielder, Mikel Merino, is, of course, going to be finalised. Could Pedro Neto be on his way to Arsenal? That is going to be one interesting story to follow in the next few coming days. Now, with regards to Pedro Neto, they are anticipating bids. They will not stand in his way with regards to him potentially leaving Molineux. Let me know your thoughts down below. Arsenal are on the cusp of Mikel Merino deal. Arsenal will pay in the region of £33 million. Caught offside claim. Let me bring out the report on the screen so you guys can have a read through as well. Caught offside claim, a deal between the Gunners and Real Sociedad will be completed in the coming days after the midfielder rejected a new contract offer from the Spanish team. Transfer journalist Mato Moreto adds that the initial fee will be 25 million with bonuses on top. Arsenal have offered terms until 2029, which Merino has reportedly accepted. Merino's agent is said to be in contact with Barca and Atletico Madrid, offers to thank them for their interest, and the player is set on a move to North London. So there you have it. He is going to be an Arsenal player. It's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Will he be an Arsenal player in the next 24 to 48 hours? And Real Sociedad are already preparing for life without the likes of Mikel Merino, looking at Carlos Soler from PSG. So it's going to be a very, very interesting couple of days in the transfer window. Make sure you drop a like. Make sure you have subscribed. And I will see you all in the next one. Thank you all for watching. I am out. The road to 20. Listen, 300 subscribers and 17K. The road to 20K is well and truly on. We'll see you soon.